The sound of laughter echoed, but we were alone. I've never really talked about that trip. Not in full, not to anyone who wasn't there. But I can't sleep anymore without seeing that goddamn tent flap move on its own. So I guess writing this is all I've got left. We camped in the Grand Teton backcountry. Me, Jake, Bree and Danny, 4 college friends trying to relive some kind of lost glory before we all drifted into our adult lives. No rangers nearby, no cell service, just wilderness, REI tents, Yeti coolers, and each other. I remember we joked about being too badass for a KOA. Yeah, well, badass gets you killed if you're not careful. It started on our second night. Jake went out to pee and came back white as hell, shaking. Said he saw someone standing just past the tree line, not moving, just watching. We laughed at first. Danny even said, "You sure it wasn't a moose or some shit?" But Jake didn't laugh. His eyes were darting. He looked haunted. "Moose don't wear fucking jeans," he whispered. We tried to brush it off. Night can play tricks on your eyes. Shadows shift, shapes lie. We passed around some warm whiskey, told ghost stories and stupid ones, but none of us slept great. I heard footsteps crunching outside our tent around 3 a.m., slow, deliberate. I held my breath, hoping it was just one of the others, but in the morning, everyone swore they hadn't moved. That morning, we found the first red flag. Bree's boots were missing, just hers. Nothing else touched. Her whole bag had been zipped, but her boots, her brand new Salomon hiking boots, were gone. We checked the trees, the bushes, even downstream, thinking maybe some animal dragged them off. Nothing. She had to wear Jake's spare sandals and thick socks the whole day. We joked about the tent goblin taking them, but it felt wrong, off. Like we weren't alone. That night was colder, quieter, no animal sounds. You ever notice how wrong silence can be in the woods? Like the whole world is holding its breath. We heard it around midnight. Laughter. Not a joyful sound. Not like someone being funny. It was high-pitched, almost mocking. Like someone pretending to laugh. Too loud, too deliberate. It echoed off the trees and then it stopped. Abruptly, like it was cut off mid-choke. Jake jumped out of the tent with a flashlight. I wanted to stop him, but he was already out there, scanning. "You hear that?" he hissed. I lied, said no. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. He stayed up the rest of the night by the fire, just watching the dark. In the morning, Bree's underwear was missing. Nothing else. Just that. We all got real quiet after that. Nobody laughed anymore. By the time the sun came up on the third day, we weren't joking around anymore. Bree looked pale and pissed. She barely spoke as she sat cross-legged on the cooler, hoodie zipped to her chin, clutching a half-eaten protein bar like it was all that tethered her to sanity. Jake was jumpy, constantly glancing at the tree line. Danny tried to play it cool, but I saw him stuffing a Leatherman into his pocket and keeping it there even while sipping coffee. No one said it out loud, but we all knew. Someone was out there, fucking with us. I kept thinking about the laughter from the night before. How unnatural it sounded. Like someone trying to mimic a sound they didn't really understand. The echo didn't feel right either. The trees don't echo like that. Not in that part of the Tetons. I'd hiked this area before, back when things felt normal. Safe. After we choked down breakfast, we made the decision to move camp. We packed everything as fast as we could, double-checking gear. I noticed Jake scanning the dirt around our tents. He looked up at me and muttered, "Footprints, barefoot, big ones." He didn't say anything else. Didn't need to. We hiked hard for 4 hours, heading deeper into the woods, which sounds backward, I know. But the nearest parking lot was over 12 miles away, and we figured we'd only get more exposed in the open areas. At least under the trees we felt hidden. That night, we set up near a rocky outcrop, backs to a cliff wall, thinking no one could sneak up from behind. Danny strung up paracord with some empty snack bags as makeshift noise traps. Bree had started carrying her mini pepper spray canister in her sleeping bag. We didn't talk much. It was after midnight when we heard it again. That same laughter. Closer this time. Jake was frozen, clutching his flashlight like it was a weapon. Danny whispered, "Fuck this," and unzipped the tent. We begged him to stay in, but he was already halfway out, scanning with his headlamp. I followed, even though every nerve in my body was screaming not to. The air was ice cold, our breath fogging instantly. We found something by the edge of the clearing. It was Bree's boots. The ones that had gone missing 2 days earlier. Neatly placed side by side, toes pointed toward our tent, like someone had just taken them off and left them there. They were wet. And inside one was a photograph. It was grainy, Polaroid style. Looked like it had been taken at night. But there we were, all 4 of us, sleeping in our tents, from above. I looked up at the cliff wall behind us. Someone had been watching from there, taking pictures, maybe more than once. We didn't sleep that night. The fire stayed lit until morning. Jake never sat down once, just stood there with a hatchet in one hand and the flashlight in the other, turning in slow circles like he was waiting to be attacked. At dawn, we decided to leave the backcountry altogether. Jake was already packing when I noticed his backpack had been cut open, slashed, clean, straight lines like with a blade. His granola bars were missing, just the food, nothing else. Bree threw up. That hike back was the longest 12 miles of my life. None of us spoke. We didn't stop. Even when Bree tripped and scraped her knee, she didn't cry, just got up, limped on. But then something else happened. About 4 miles from the trailhead, we started seeing the same thing every few hundred feet. Small bundles of sticks tied together with red string, hanging from branches, staring down at us like totems. None of us had seen them on the way in, and they weren't weathered. They were fresh. Every single one. Someone had been waiting. Someone had been watching. We made it to the parking lot around 6 p.m. All our tires were slashed. Every single one. We never reported it. Nobody would believe us anyway. We just stood there for a while. 4 of us. Frozen. Staring at our slashed tires like it might change something. Like maybe if we blinked enough times, the rubber wouldn't be shredded into ribbons the way it clearly was. Bree was the first to say it. Quiet. Flat. "We're not supposed to leave." Her voice didn't sound like hers anymore, like something had hollowed it out and was just using her throat. Danny checked his phone. No service, of course. And it was too late to hike to the ranger station. The closest one was another 5 miles past the lot, and that's in good light. It'd be pitch black in under an hour. Jake tried starting the car anyway, useless. All 4 tires down to the rims. That's when we noticed something worse. There was another car in the lot now. It hadn't been there when we parked 3 days ago. A brown, dented Ford Bronco. Old. Like 80s old. No plates. Just sitting there, parallel to our car, angled slightly toward us like it was watching. The windows were blacked out. We couldn't see inside. Danny said, "We need to go. Now." But we didn't move. Because as soon as he said that, the Bronco's engine started. The sound cut through the trees like a blade. Guttural. Off. Like it hadn't been started in years. We grabbed our gear, just the essentials, and bolted up the road. Didn't even think about direction. Just ran. The sound of that engine followed us for miles, sometimes closer, sometimes distant, but always there, humming behind the trees like a mechanical predator. We made it to an abandoned ranger station. No power, no people. Just a locked door, busted windows, and an old hand-crank radio nailed to the wall inside. We broke in. The place reeked of mildew and rat piss. Dust over everything. The kind of dust that means no one's been around in years. Jake tried the radio. Static, then faint voices. Then nothing. Then something. We heard breathing, slow, heavy. Not from the radio. From the hallway. We all turned at the same time like animals. There was nothing there. But we heard footsteps retreating. Soft, barefoot. Danny ran to the hallway, flashlight out. "Hello? Who the fuck is there?" Silence. Then something slid across the floor toward us, skidded right into the main room from the darkness. It was Jake's pepper spray. He hadn't noticed it missing. None of us had. And then we saw it, scratched into the wall near the hallway door in deep, jagged letters, "Stay a while." We didn't. We ran, back into the woods. No road, no map, no plan. Just away. And for the next 3 hours, we were followed. Whoever it was, they didn't try to catch us. They wanted us to know we were being watched. Every time we stopped to breathe, we heard them. Twigs snapping, a low laugh, the occasional metallic clink of something hitting stone. It wasn't until we crossed a river, waist-high and freezing, that the sounds stopped. We kept going until we hit a fire road. From there, we walked for what felt like forever, until we finally saw headlights in the distance. A ranger truck. Real. We checked. The ranger looked confused, then concerned. Called for backup. They drove us out. Didn't believe a word we said though, just marked it down as a distressed group, likely affected by exhaustion and fear. They never found the Bronco, or the slash marks, or the totems. They did find the ranger station, burned to the ground 2 days later. We all got a text the next week. No number. Just, "We liked the way you screamed." None of us spoke to each other for a while after that, not for lack of trying. At first we texted, called, even tried a group Zoom, but something had cracked open during that trip. Something that wouldn't close again. Every time I tried to talk about it, my throat locked up like it was choking on smoke. I deleted the text we got. So did Danny. Bree threw her phone in a lake. Jake. I think Jake tried to pretend none of it happened. He stopped replying altogether. But something had followed us back. It started with little things. My apartment, ground floor, gated, suddenly had muddy footprints on the balcony one morning. Just one set. Big, barefoot. I live alone. I called maintenance. They said maybe an animal, but I knew that shape. I remembered the way they looked pressed into the dirt beside our tent. Then the laughter started again, late at night, always just outside, never on the street, never inside, always just on the edge of the dark, somewhere near the dumpsters or behind the fence. Bree called me once, middle of the night, whispering. She said she was in her kitchen and all the cabinets were open, every single one. She'd gone to bed after locking them all, like always. And in the center of the counter, there was a single photograph, same grainy quality as before, taken through a window. It showed her sleeping, and someone standing behind the glass, barely visible, just a shadow really, but you could make out the shape of a grin. She moved out the next day, no forwarding address. Then I heard what happened to Jake. They found him in his garage, still breathing, but barely. He'd tried to hang himself. The neighbor found him when they noticed the garage light had been on for 2 days straight. He didn't leave a note, just carved something into the garage wall with a screwdriver. 2 words. He watches. He's in a psychiatric facility now. Doesn't talk. Just rocks back and forth and mumbles, sometimes laughs. The nurses said he laughs like he's trying to remember how. Danny was the last one still pretending it hadn't happened. Then he called me at 4 a.m, drunk, crying. Said someone had broken into his place, not to steal anything, just to leave something. A dead raccoon. Its stomach slit open. Inside was Danny's college ID. We buried it in his backyard, burned sage, poured whiskey over the grave. It didn't help. The next morning, someone had dug it back up, left the ID in his mailbox, wrapped in his missing boxes. He moved across the country after that, changed his name. Last I heard, he was in Arizona working at a gas station off I-10, using a burner phone and sleeping with the lights on. As for me, I started sleeping with a hammer under my pillow. I stopped using curtains. I leave the TV on all night, just for the noise. But sometimes I still hear it. The laughter, faint from the hallway or beneath the bed. Not constant, just enough to remind me. I got another text last week. This time it had a photo attached. It was me, sitting in this very room, typing this. I'm looking at the picture right now, and I'm not alone in it. There's a man behind me, smiling. I didn't turn around at first. I sat there, staring at the photo. My heart was thundering in my ears, my vision tunneling. I wanted to scream, but nothing came out. The man behind me, in the picture, wasn't just standing. He was leaning forward, his mouth just inches from my ear, like he was whispering something I hadn't heard yet. I finally spun in my chair. No one was there. Nothing. But my window was open. I never leave the window open. And on the floor, half tucked under the curtain, was a single boot print. Barefoot. Muddy. Exactly like before. I started packing that night. Whatever life I had here, job, lease, neighbours, none of it mattered anymore. You can't stay when you feel like prey. I booked a motel on the edge of town, paid cash, left my phone in the freezer at home, took a burner with me, bought a lock for the inside of the door. I sat in that room for 3 days, curtains drawn, TV volume on max, not sleeping. On the second night, the clerk called my room. Said there was a man asking about me in the lobby. Said he smelled weird and had a photograph in his hand. When they told him I wasn't there, he smiled and said, "Oh, he's here. I'm just early." I told them not to answer the lobby door, not to say my room number. They hung up on me. That night, I didn't sleep at all. Around 2 a.m., someone knocked on the door. Not a gentle knock. 3 sharp bangs. Then silence. Then laughter. That horrible, halting, pretend laugh. Like someone was trying to mimic joy without ever feeling it. I didn't answer. Eventually, the knocking stopped. When I looked through the peephole, no one was there. But the next morning, the motel clerk was gone. Disappeared. Police came, took statements, no sign of him. His stuff was still there, phone, keys, even his car out front. But no trace of him. On his desk, there was a note, scrawled in barely legible red ink, like a marker running out. It said, "He likes when they scream slow." I left that place before the cops finished asking questions. I've been on the move ever since. Different cities, cheap motels, always cash. I don't check in with anyone. I don't use real names. I don't stay more than 2 nights anywhere. But he still finds me. A week ago, I woke up in the middle of the night, motel in Nebraska, and saw that the lock on my door was undone, not broken, just unlocked. Inside the room, lying on the floor in front of the bed, was a single item, a flashlight, the one Jake had carried on our last night in the Tetons. I picked it up. It clicked on, and inside the beam, reflected in the bathroom mirror, I saw him, standing behind me, just watching. No weapon, no words, just watching. I spun around. Nothing. But the flashlight wouldn't turn off. I smashed it on the floor. It kept glowing. I left it behind and ran. Now I carry nothing from that trip. Nothing I touched. Nothing I wore, nothing I took with me. But it doesn't matter. He still knows. He's always a step ahead. Like I'm on a leash, he's letting out inch by inch just to see how far I'll run. I had a nightmare last night. One I haven't had in months. I was back in the woods, alone. I turned around and saw 3 figures standing in a circle around me. They wore our faces, mine, Jake's, Bree's, but not right. Just masks, wet and loose, like they were sagging off the bone. And from the trees, that same laughter. But this time it sounded different, closer. I didn't expect to wake up this morning. After last night, after that dream, no, vision, I was sure it was over. I didn't sleep so much as collapse. Heart pounding, wrapped in a motel blanket that smelled like mildew and bleach, holding a steak knife under the pillow like it could actually protect me. But I woke up, breathing, alone. Or I thought I was, until I saw the mirror. I hadn't touched it. I always keep the bathroom door shut, mirror covered with a towel. Ever since that night, I saw him standing in the reflection. But sometime during the night, the towel had been removed, carefully, folded, laid on the floor like it was waiting for me to notice. Scrawled into the mirror in some thick, dried brown substance, I won't test it, were the words, "Where next?" That's when I knew this was never going to end. I wasn't being hunted. I was being played with. like a spider toying with a fly stuck in its web. I checked out of the motel in under 5 minutes, left my bag, my clothes, even my burner phone. I walked until my legs gave out, hitched a ride with a long-haul trucker who didn't ask questions, told him I had no destination. He looked at me sideways and said, "Hell, son, most of us don't." I've been sleeping in abandoned barns, under bridges, behind strip malls. I don't talk to anyone. I don't leave a trail. I don't even use my name anymore. I've stopped carrying ID. But last night I found something in the hood of my jacket. A new photo. I hadn't seen it before. Hadn't felt it before. It was a picture of Danny, dead, eyes open, mouth twisted, laid out in a field somewhere. His hands were missing. Written on the back, in smeared red ink, he screamed louder than you did. I don't know how they got the photo to me. I don't know how they keep finding me, but they do, no matter where I go. I used to think it was one person, a man, a psycho in the woods, but now I'm not so sure. It's too organized, too precise. The photos, the messages, the way they know exactly how to break us. What if it's not just one? What if there are others? What if the guy in the woods was just a recruiter, a first test? What if we passed? What if we impressed them? The others might still be out there, watching, following people like you. People who read things like this. People who feel that little chill on the back of their neck and look over their shoulder at nothing. What if that's them? What if they're looking for the next story, the next scream? Because here's the worst part. I still hear the laughter. It's inside me now. Sometimes when I'm tired, when I haven't eaten, when I haven't slept for days, I hear it coming from my own mouth. Low, mocking, like I'm forgetting what it means to be afraid, like I'm becoming one of them. So if you're reading this, if you've made it this far, check your window, check your closet, check behind you. And if you hear laughter, run. Because maybe this time, you're the one who screams slow. I thought I was following my friend. It wasn't him. I swear this is real. I don't even care if you believe me. I need to get it out. Maybe it'll help me sleep. Maybe not. I haven't really slept since that trip. It was supposed to be a chill camping weekend. Nothing fancy. Just me, my buddy Kyle, and the woods. Grand Teton National Park, mid-September. Just before the cold really hits. The kind of place where the signal dies 2 hours before you park. We packed light. REI gear, dehydrated food packs, a couple jet boils, a Costco tent that barely held 2 grown men, and a Yeti cooler filled with gas station beers and leftover pizza. We were pumped. Kyle was the outdoorsy one, ex-Boy Scout, trail runner type. Me? Not so much. I went for the silence, the air, to clear my head after a garbage breakup. Kyle offered, I said yes. Simple. The first night was fine. We set up near Lee Lake, a spot Kyle said was off trail, but worth it. He wasn't wrong. Crystal clear water, nobody around. It felt untouched. That's the best word I have for it. Pure. But there was something else. A kind of hush. Not peaceful. More like the forest was holding its breath. We built a fire, talked shit, passed a flask. The stars looked fake. I remember thinking I'd never seen black this deep or silence this loud. Then, around 1 a.m, I heard something crunch outside the tent. Not an animal. 2 footsteps. Then nothing. Then again, crunch, crunch, slow, deliberate. I held my breath. Kyle sat up like a shot. We both just listened. "Probably a deer," he whispered. But he didn't sound like he believed it. The steps stopped behind our tent, directly behind it. And then we heard it. Breathing. Not heavy, just steady, like someone trying hard to stay quiet. Kyle grabbed his knife. I didn't even have one. Then it was gone. Just like that. We didn't sleep much after that, kept the fire going all night. Every sound felt wrong. The next day we laughed it off like dumbasses, made some eggs, hiked to the ridge, took photos like tourists. But I noticed something. Kyle kept looking behind us, checking our six every 5 minutes. He said nothing, just kept scanning. That afternoon we found something that ruined the vibe completely. A sock. Not ours. Just one. Hanging from a branch like a flag. Dirty, stretched out and tied in a weird knot. I said it was probably trash. Kyle didn't answer. Back at camp, Kyle was quiet. Too quiet. He kept starting to say something and then stopping. At dusk, he told me he was going to take a leak. Disappeared into the trees. He never came back. And I thought I saw him. Standing between the trees, maybe 20 yards off. But he didn't answer when I called. He just stood there, watching, still as stone. Then turned around and walked deeper in. I followed. Of course I followed. But when I caught up, it wasn't Kyle. The first thing that hit me was the smell. Not like death, but something worse in a way. Mouldy sweat, gasoline, old meat. I should have turned back right there, but I didn't. I thought, maybe he's hurt, maybe he's just screwing with me. I followed the shape deeper into the woods. The fading light didn't help. Everything turned grey-blue. I kept calling, "Kyle! Dude, not funny. Say something." No response. But I could still see him. Or it. That silhouette. Same height, same broad shoulders, same beanie Kyle always wore. Except this one never moved right. Too smooth, too quiet. Every time I took a step, they took a step. But I never heard them walking. Just the crunch of my boots and my own wheezing breath. They were gliding. After maybe 15 minutes, they stopped. So did I. They stood in a clearing, back still turned. I remember thinking the trees around us looked wrong, twisted, broken, like lightning hit them sideways. I was maybe 20 feet away, close enough to see they were wearing Kyle's flannel. And that's when they started to laugh. Not loud, not even a chuckle, just this low, wheezing exhale, like a bad imitation of human laughter. It sent a spike of ice through my spine. I said, "Kyle, I swear to God." Then it turned around. It wasn't Kyle. The flannel was the same, but the face, Jesus Christ. It looked like someone had tried to draw a human face from memory, but screwed it up halfway through. Eyes too wide, mouth too low, like it was smiling and grimacing at the same time. And the skin, pale, blotchy, like wet paper. I stumbled back, fell hard on my arse, scrambled to get up. It didn't move toward me, just stared, still making that horrible, breathy laugh. Then it whispered, almost too soft to hear, "You shouldn't be here." My legs finally listened. I ran. Branches tore at my arms, rocks underfoot, but I didn't stop. I didn't care where I was going, just away. I could hear it moving now, fast, unnatural, crashing through the woods but never getting closer, like it wanted me to know I was being followed. By some miracle, I found our campsite. The fire was mostly dead. No sign of Kyle, tent was still zipped. I grabbed the flashlight and my pack, heart pounding. That's when I saw the footprints, not mine, not Kyle's, just one set. Bare feet, deep impressions, circling the tent, over and over again. Whoever, whatever, had been watching us last night hadn't left. Then I heard it again, that breath laugh, closer this time, and then a voice, not 5 feet away, just behind the darkness beyond the trees. You followed the wrong one. My flashlight flickered, then it went out. When the flashlight died, I felt like the dark swallowed me whole. I dropped it, didn't even think, and lunged toward the fire pit, fumbling for the lighter in my pack. My hands were shaking so bad I almost dropped that too. I flicked it once. Nothing. Twice. Click, click, click. Finally, a flame. I jammed it into the coals, blue like hell. A weak orange glow lit up maybe 3 feet around me. Not enough, not even close. Then came the sound. Footsteps, heavy this time. Not stalking, not creeping, stomping, straight toward me. I panicked, grabbed the firewood, dumped it all in, tossed the Jetboil fuel can right into the pit. Probably a dumb move, but I didn't care. I needed light. I needed something. The fire roared to life, flames shooting up 3 feet high. The sudden light made me blink hard, and when my eyes adjusted, he was standing at the edge of the trees, still. The same flannel, same weird smile, but now I could see the hands. They were covered in blood, not dripping, just stained, dried, like he'd been wrist deep in something hours ago. He tilted his head, too far, like a broken puppet. Then he said it again. You followed the wrong one. His voice, Jesus. It sounded like gravel grinding inside a metal throat. I could barely breathe. I yelled, "Where's Kyle? What the fuck did you do to him?" He didn't answer, just turned and walked into the woods again, slowly, like he wanted me to follow, like it was a game. I didn't. I'm not proud of this, but I stayed by that fire all night. Knife in one hand, lighter in the other. Didn't sleep, didn't blink. I could hear him circling, that weird shuffle, the occasional crack of a branch just to let me know he was there. At one point I thought I saw him crouched on a rock, just watching, motionless, for hours. I wanted to believe I was hallucinating, that my brain was breaking, but every time I looked away I'd hear him again. Sunrise didn't help. It made the trees look stranger, made the blood on his hands darker, made everything feel more real. By morning, he was gone. No footprints, no sign of him. But Kyle was still missing. I packed everything, fast, sloppy. I kept the knife out the whole time. Didn't bother rolling up the tent. Just jammed it in my pack. My phone still had no signal, of course, but I remembered the trail, or thought I did. That's when I saw something in Kyle's bag, stuffed deep under his hoodie. A note, handwritten on greasy fast food paper. It said, "You're not alone out here. Don't follow your eyes. Follow the silence." It wasn't Kyle's handwriting. I looked around. The trees swayed just slightly. No wind, no birds, no bugs, no sound at all. Then I realized something that hadn't occurred to me before. I hadn't heard a single animal since yesterday. No owls, no crickets, no chipmunks. Nothing. Just that breathing. Just that voice. Just him. I ran. I didn't even pick a direction. I just bolted. Pack swinging, heart punching my ribs. Every part of my body screamed to stop. But I didn't. I couldn't. The silence was louder than anything I'd ever heard. And behind it, I swore I could still feel him. Not just watching, following, not with steps, with presence. After maybe an hour, I hit a trail, not ours, something narrower, rougher. It looked old, barely used, but it led somewhere. I turned left and followed it fast, barely keeping upright. Twigs snapped underfoot. My lungs burned. My eyes kept darting behind me. And then I saw the cabin. It was tucked behind a rise, surrounded by trees bent in unnatural shapes, like they were leaning away from it. It didn't belong here, not because it was old, because it felt wrong, like it didn't grow here with the forest, like it had been dropped there by force. Shingles missing, windows boarded, smoke black marks around the frame. But someone had been there recently. I could smell it. That same rot sweat gasoline stench, stronger now. A tangle of barbed wire wrapped around one corner, half buried in the ground. Animal bones scattered out front. Deer, maybe. A boot nailed to the wall. One. Just one. I should have turned around. But there was movement inside. I crept up to the window, crouched. A sliver of light came through a crack in the boards. I peeked inside. That's when I saw Kyle. Or at least, his body. He was lying on the floor, shirt torn, one shoe missing, wrists bound in some kind of black cord. Looked like paracord, but old, frayed. His eyes were closed, but his chest moved. Barely. My breath caught in my throat. Then I heard it. Behind me. A twig snap. I turned around and there he was again. Not Kyle. The thing wearing his clothes. He was closer this time. Maybe 10 feet. And now he wasn't smiling. His mouth just hung open, jaws slack, too wide. And in that gap, something metal glinted. I don't even know what it was. It looked like he'd stuffed things in there. Nails, screws, wire, I don't know. I backed away slowly. Then his voice, that horrible, wrong voice, came again. You see him now? I didn't speak. I just stepped sideways toward the cabin door. He didn't move. He's not the first, he said, tilting his head again. And this time something cracked in his neck. Loud, final. He won't be the last. My hand found the doorknob. I threw it open and rushed inside. The air hit me like a wall. Wet wood, blood, chemicals. My eyes watered. Kyle was tied to a chair now, or maybe he had been the whole time. And my mind played tricks on me outside. He was awake now, barely. He looked at me, eyes wide, tried to talk, but all that came out was a gurgle. There was something stuffed in his mouth. A sock. The same one we'd found hanging in the trees. I rushed forward, pulling out my knife to cut the cord, but the door slammed shut behind me, and I heard the lock click. The slam echoed like a gunshot in my skull. I spun, dropped the knife. The room was pitch dark now, the only light bleeding through tiny gaps between the rotted planks over the window. I reached for the doorknob. It wouldn't budge. From the other side, I heard nothing. Not footsteps, not breathing, just silence. Then a whisper came through the cracks, so soft I barely caught it. "Take your time." Kyle moaned behind me. I turned back, grabbed the knife off the floor, cut the cords at his wrists. His skin was raw, wrists bruised black and blue. When I yanked the sock from his mouth, he coughed so hard I thought he'd pass out again. His voice was shredded. "Dee, don't look at him," he rasped. "Don't let him in." "What the fuck does that mean?" I hissed, kneeling by him. "What the hell is that thing?" He shook his head, eyes full of some kind of terror I can't even explain. "Not a thing. He's nothing. Just empty. But he knows how to fill your shape, knows how to wear people." I wanted to scream, but I held it in. My heart felt like it was trying to beat its way out of my ribs. "I followed you," I said. "Back in the woods, I thought it was you." Kyle gave a sick laugh that turned into a coughing fit. "That's what he wants. It's all he needs. A footstep. A glance. The second you mistake him for someone, he becomes them." He grabbed my arm suddenly, hard. "Don't speak to him again. Don't respond. Don't even acknowledge he's there. That's how he grows." Panic clawed at my throat. "How do we get out?" He didn't answer. Then we both froze. Footsteps. Inside the house. Slow. Deliberate. Floorboards creaking under weight that didn't feel entirely human. Not heavy, but wrong. Then a voice, my voice, whispered from the far corner of the room. "Let's go, man. I found the trail back." Kyle gripped my arm tighter. "That's not you." I swallowed bile. "No shit." The voice spoke again, closer this time, right behind us. "You don't believe me? Come on, let's go. He's not coming back." That's when I saw it, barely lit by a shaft of grey light from the boarded window. A figure crouched in the corner. Same clothes as me, same backpack, same face. It even smiled the way I did, the way I used to smile. Kyle pulled himself up with my help. We inched toward the door. It was still locked. The voice said, "He's dead weight. Leave him. You don't need him. You never needed him." It wasn't yelling. It didn't need to. It just spoke in that calm, friendly tone, like a friend telling you hard truths over a drink. Too calm, too knowing. I tried the doorknob again, still stuck. Then the voice behind us said, "Fine, I'll show you." Something wet slapped the floor. I turned. I shouldn't have. On the floor, in the light, was a pile of skin. Just skin. And it looked like me. Face stretched, hollowed out. Inside out, like someone peeled me and dropped the shell on the floor. Kyle screamed. I dry heaved. The thing that wore my shape stepped closer, now faceless. Just smooth, pinkish muscle. No eyes, no mouth. And it still whispered, "Now you know." The window exploded behind us. Glass and wood rained down. Something, I don't know what, yanked us backward. We fell out onto the dirt, tangled and bleeding. As the morning light hit our faces, the thing didn't follow. It didn't need to. We hit the ground hard. Kyle screamed, his leg twisted wrong under him. I felt blood on my face, cuts from the glass, but I didn't care. I grabbed him under the arms, dragged him like dead weight across the clearing, every muscle shaking. The cabin loomed behind us, its broken window gaping like a mouth. Nothing came out, but we could hear it. Inside, that sick, meaty dragging sound, that breathing, not quick, not angry, just patient, watching, waiting. We didn't stop moving, didn't talk. We just got the hell away. 20 minutes, maybe 30. I don't know. The sun was higher by the time we found a ranger's outpost. One of those emergency supply sheds with a cracked solar panel and a dusty two-way radio. I don't even remember using it, just screaming into it until someone answered. They airlifted us out. Kyle went to the hospital. I went home. That should be the end, but it's not. 3 days later, I get a text. You left something in the woods. No number, no contact, just that. I blocked it. I ignored it. But then I noticed something. Little things. My toothbrush moved, my hiking boots in the living room, soaked and muddy. I live alone. Haven't touched them since. Last night I found a sock in my kitchen sink. Not mine, not Kyle's. The same sock. Dirty. Tied in a knot. And this morning, I saw someone on my street, standing across the road, just staring, wearing my jacket, same boots, same build. It looked like me, exactly like me. And when I blinked, they were gone. I haven't left the house since. I haven't opened the blinds. And I don't think it matters. Because sometimes late at night I hear the door creak. Not open, just creak. Just enough to let me know it's still there, waiting. And once, I swear to God, I heard my own voice whisper from the hallway, "You're not alone in here, in